Great to be here. I would say that this is just a wonderful pleasure to be at this data center summit. Thank you so much, Economic Times and all the organizers who have put in the effort to get us all together here. And I'd say that I definitely appreciate the introduction that was given to me, and that made me feel very, very welcome here to come and share a few of my perspectives in terms of how the industry is shaping in this area. And certainly, the quantitative aspect of things is probably I will stay away from, because I think there is enough stats, and in the data center word itself comes very heavy with statistics. So I'm going to stick to the more qualitative aspect of things, where we have to look at maybe the numbers on the slide, but let's talk to each other much more to know where we are going, how we are placed today, right now, and really, is there something that we are talking in the future, or is it already right here in front of us, and we haven't yet crossed the bar, which means that we got to be a lot more agile in terms of getting to the future today. So with that, I'm going to just mention a little bit of background. I'm from Reliance Group of companies, primarily also covering a lot of the things in Reliance Communications. And Reliance Tech Services is the internal IT organization which services all of these companies together. And from my experiences, which has been in the worldwide arena for about 20 years, and then I came here for last 5.5 years. I'm here in Mumbai. I'd say that things have moved so rapidly. And there was a time when it was the internet boom, and today all I can relate to is there is one word, which is e-commerce, rather two words maybe, e-commerce supplemented with m-commerce. So for me, actually, it is not just an issue where you're talking about some 26 billion devices which are connecting to each other, creating an internet of things, and beyond that, what is next for the users is what we need to worry about. So when I segregate the entire set of problems into a couple of aspects, I look at it, number of devices being mind-boggling, and we really don't want to keep worrying about what kind of device which customer is using, which user is using, and therefore try and align an IT infrastructure, specifically data center based, which can align to all these different kinds of developments that various vendors, suppliers, and the community, the OTT players, are bringing up into the ecosystem. What I would like to really worry about is how do we make sure that the users are completely unaware of what devices, what introductions are coming into place, not just in India, but worldwide. Because today, the world has become extremely small. And as you know, the Internet of Things, but much more on the free Internet that has been introduced very recently, there is a complete focus in terms of bringing every person, everyone across the world into a connected arena. Now, how can we reach out to them so that they are getting exactly what they want? They are not getting all the things that they really don't want to see. Because today, when you see, even as late as yesterday, there was this news on the approval on the freedom of speech on internet and social media. Now, if you were worried that how much is going to be the data traffic across the various types of connectivities and data centers, we better start worrying today, even in a different orbit. Because if the freedom of speech, with so many billions and billions of people across the world connecting and talking to each other, what is this entire thing about social media? What kind of shape it is going to take? And the new ecosystem that is going to be formed as a result of that, I think is something yet to be understood. From what I see here is clearly social media, certainly the top one. Analytics, I think, is going to shape a lot of things which will define the future of our data centers. Because Just like in the network terminology, a dumb network versus an intelligent network became a topic of discussion for most of the technologists and industrialists. The same situation is coming in the area of data centers, where it is no longer just thinking about large computing powers, large servers, large storage, but thinking about how small can they become, how tiny they can become, so that you're actually able to get the intelligence out of it, but not still have to look into the type of things that we are really worried about right now, which we are going to talk about in a minute or so. I'll share with you a very specific example. For example, if I have to process 20 billion CDRs day in, day out as an operator, I bet in the BFSI segment there is significantly that amount of data that is passing through. And to add to all of that, being able to make sure that you're actually thinking about security of all of this data. So when I'm looking at the type of services which are much more oriented towards a WhatsApp type of an environment and no more of that, paid voice calling, for instance, or it's much more in terms of the data services where the users don't really want to be bothered about, you telling them what data they want. They want to be independent. They want their privacy. They want to make sure that they can actually access any kind of content that they want, right? So you're seeing the difference. There was a world when we had a static data center. There was a time when users were told, look, this is the service that you can get. But clearly, we have seen in the past 1 or 2 years, the things have completely changed. The paradigm shift has happened at the user end. And when the users are finding that good flavor of being able to access whatever content they want, they're able to get from the OTT players many of these things for free as well, and they're able to get best effort service, but it's not really bad service, then there is a problem that we have at hand. And I think these kinds of data center summits, not just one, but in multitudes, need to be organized to bring the thought process together as an industry consortium between suppliers and operators, other service providers, to really figure out extremely fast what is the next thing that we need to do in order to overcome this problem. Otherwise, it is always going to be a futuristic data center problem, and we are never going to reach that particular stage of what is that data center. I think most of you are very well familiar with the aspect that, there is a huge amount of infrastructure, real estate space that is required in order to host any data center. And today, I would say the biggest challenge is certainly one that of energy savings. And we all have heard about the Green IT initiative. And when we talk about Green IT and the practices that have been introduced to date, I think there is clearly an improvement that needs to be made. I myself have a lot of large data center space as an operator, but I would say that if we don't look at the first problem,